Is driving from Denmark to Paris and Normandy in France a good idea? Is driving that far on a 50 to 60-year-old scooter really worth the risk? Would you even get there? Or would there be problems? This is the story of 10 guys driving from Denmark to Normandy in France and hopefully back. And maybe some inspiration on what sights you could see if you decided to visit Normandy or swing by the Eiffel Tower. Last year, I drove from Denmark to northern Italy on my old Lambretta. It was a fantastic trip and an adventure with complications. Hopefully, this year wouldn't end in disaster. The goal of this year's trip was France. From Denmark to Paris and then on to Normandy on the west coast of France. There and back, a trip of over 3,000 kilometers on an old scooter. It ended up being quite a trip with a lot to tell. So this time I chose to break up the story into 3 parts. This is part 1. Let's get going. This year, I left the old Lambretta at home. Late last summer, I bought a Vespa Sprint Veloce from 1975 with a newly built engine and many upgraded parts. This should be an ideal touring scooter with a little more oomph to carry me and my luggage and still have power to spare. Like last year, I started from my garage in Copenhagen and drove south to Peter's garage, the starting point of the trip. The group was more or less the same as last year's Italy trip. A few missing, a few new joiners. We were 5 Vespas and 4 Lambrettas, and one who had to change out the scooter with a motorcycle due to back problems. This was the group: Michaele on his Lambretta, Jakob on his Vespa Sprint, Niels on his Vespa PX, me on my Vespa Sprint Veloce, Peter on his Vespa PX, Rasmus on his Vespa Sprint Veloce, a scooter looking very similar to mine, Ivar on his Lambretta Series 2, Rune on his Lambretta Series 2, Peter on his Lambretta Series 2, the owner of Peter's garage, who kinda organized the trip, and Leo, who swapped out his scooter for a Suzuki. We started out early Tuesday morning. Experience from last year and the fact that we weren't going over any cold mountains this time allowed me to pack a lot lighter this year. The Vespa also had 2 glove boxes for storage, the classic one in the front on the leg shield and one on the side of the scooter. Here I could store tools, a few spare parts, a lock, rain clothes and all the 2-stroke oil needed for the trip. From Peter's garage, we made our way south, the first stretch, straight on the motorway, not to waste too much time in city traffic. After some time, we rode off the motorway onto regular main roads through beautiful Lolland Falster, the southeastern part of Denmark. This was also the time for the first one of many fuel stops. And a little reminder to me to always refuel before you meet up with a group. After a few hours, we reached the ferry port at Rødby. The ferry carried us to Puttgarden in Germany and gave a little break for a cup of coffee and maybe an early lunch. After getting off the main road from the ferry port, it was on to beautiful B-roads in northern Germany. Some of these roads I remembered from last year. A great area with lots of green fields, trees along the roads and small villages that are generally easy and fluent to drive through. In the afternoon, we hit Hamburg. Not the best timing, as the traffic quickly became heavy and full of big trucks. We stopped for a quick pit stop, a few screws were tightened and a carburetor was adjusted. Nothing big, but something you can expect when driving old scooters for longer distances. A little after 7 in the evening, we arrived at our first hotel. A solid first day of driving around 400 kilometers, and now finally time for a beer and some schnitzel. The next day, a little after 8, we moved on, southwest towards Holland and Belgium. Early in the afternoon, we stopped in a town called Wessel, north of Essen in Germany, to get a quick drink. Here, we were quickly caught up by a local scooter rider on a beautiful light blue Vespa with a sidecar, very well built. He tried to convince us to join a local scooter meetup Saturday, but unfortunately we had other plans and a tight schedule. After a little over an hour of driving, we passed into Holland. Here, it was time for yet another refuel, and a throttle cable had to be better secured to avoid problems later on. And also, a little time to enjoy the nice weather. Our time in Holland was short and we quickly hit the border to Belgium. This time we remembered to get a photo. Along the trip you make up little goals and milestones in your head, and crossing into another country is clearly one. After a few hours of driving, it was once again time to park the scooter and settle down for a cold one and some food. And who knew? Lambretta Sidewinder seat has multiple uses. Belgium has really bumpy roads, like roads, sorry, at least the ones we hit. Just before the hotel, one of the Lambrettas had lost its rear brake arm. It likely rattled off somewhere and we were long gone. Even though the scooter had an upgraded hydraulic front brake, this was not optimal. A brake arm for a Lambretta and its locking clip is not something you just buy at the local auto parts store, so we needed to change our plans a little. I suddenly remembered that on one of my videos from last year's trip, someone had commented that if we were ever in Belgium and needed help, we should just reach out. And now this was the case. I contacted Charles, who lives northwest of Brussels, and he quickly offered to bring his own brake arm from a Lambretta he was restoring. This would be a 3-hour trip to us and back. Very kind, but we simply couldn't accept that. But Charles also gave some tips on who to contact and reach out to the local Lambretta community. Another great example on how helpful people can be when driving a classic vehicle. In the end, we decided to give a scooter workshop nearby a shot. Unfortunately, the owner was on a vacation and we headed towards Paris, hoping to find something there. After a quick lunch, we finally reached France. late in the afternoon we hit Paris. Even though it was Saturday, it was clear that going through Paris equals a lot of traffic. Not the greatest thing on an old scooter with manual gears and a heavy clutch. This was a thing we had expected, but maybe we expected it to be less of a problem in weekends. But we managed to check in at a hotel in an eastern suburb of Paris, have dinner and make plans for the coming days. Now that we had a better idea on how far we wanted to ride every day, we faced a dilemma. We simply couldn't cover the distance needed every day and still have time to see sights and relax a little. We wanted to spend some time exploring Normandy, but also needed to be back home in time, still considering that there was a chance of a breakdown costing extra hours. But the next goal was clear: go to the Eiffel Tower and, if possible, get a picture of all of us in front of the tower. So early Sunday we hit the breakfast buffet as soon as possible, and at 7 in the morning we left the hotel and headed to the center of Paris. And what a day it turned out to be. Riding into the center of Paris so early in the morning was like being in a movie. There were nearly no cars on the streets and very few people. Just before 8, we reached the tower and quickly did a little naughty parking in a spot between the tower and the river. All high on excitement, we took our pictures and were all ecstatic about reaching our goal. If you're going to ride to the Eiffel Tower, do it early Sunday morning. We had one more goal before leaving Paris, but this is it for this part. Join the crew in the next part, where we wrap up Paris and head west towards Normandy. Plenty of places to visit and more challenges ahead.